Merhaba, and welcome back to the Ottoman campaign in Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. So we finally brought that big French task force to battle. It's a pretty big task force because they've been gathering up more cruisers to add to it. We were able to sink 6 cruisers and a couple of destroyers last episode, though, in a separate battle. So they would probably have joined up, I think, if we hadn't sunk them. But on our side, we got the 4 Yavuz class battlecruisers, 1941 refits. They have not been firing their guns for a couple months now, so they should be, if not fully restocked on ammunition, at least they should have a decent chunk of shells left. The cruisers, not so much, because they've been mostly handling things, while the battlecruisers have just not engaged. But I got a bunch of destroyers and torpedo boats with torpedoes, so it should be fine. There are a lot of targets, though. A lot of targets that we need to take out. So, not sure if we're gonna get all of them. Right. So, that's a battleship. I think I've seen these before. But it's been a while. Yeah, no, I have seen these before. They're not as impressive as they look. But what is impressive is the number of cruisers and destroyers. That's quite a lot. Let's see here. That is plenty of ammunition for the big battlecruiser guns. Heavy cruisers, a little low. Not too bad, though. Have these add together. You can turn off your torpedoes, and your guns can be set to save. In fact, I'm gonna do that to you too. Destroyers and torpedo boats are kind of scattered around the formation, but I think the enemy starts far enough away that I will have my stuff organized. Before we actually get into combat. There we go. Merrick, what sort of boat are you? Right. They're going to be scouting and spotting for the destroyers and torpedo boats. Merrick has already spotted the entire enemy task force. And they are indeed very, very far away. 60 kilometers away. It's the battleship. No, that is actually quite impressive. I outrange it, though, I think. I do. Not by much. Because these are still only Mark IV. Which means that their deck penetration, even at max range, is not that impressive. The cruisers are forming up behind the battlecruisers. Do I dare reduce speed on these? Or is that just gonna make a mess out of everything? It could well be the case. Battlecruisers are firing. Let's pick out some targets. May as well start targeting the light cruisers. I want the destroyers to sail up alongside the line of enemy ships, and I want the torpedo boats to dump torpedoes in front of them. Could do it the other way around, but that's how it's gonna be. Now, light cruiser, you can do donuts here. You're gonna keep things lit. Destroyers are almost in torpedo range of everything. They're actually sending out some ships here to screen. I'm not sure if I want to accuse the AI of thinking and doing that on purpose. Let's have two target the Surveillante. You can target those. And torpedoes are on. The destroyers are a bit too far away, really. To bring them in a little bit closer. There we go. They are now in range. Two on the battleship. Heavy cruiser and heavy cruiser. So a lot of torpedoes focused on that battleship. Let's see what's going on here now. You have all launched. You have taken damage. If I can get these guys away. Battlecruisers need to speed up. They're already starting to bunch up. Like they do often. Torpedoes are looking quite good. Destroyer torpedoes are also looking good. Torpedoes are starting to hit. Not 2 so far. We're gonna get more, I'm pretty sure of it. We lost 1 torpedo boat. That's okay. We didn't get too many torpedo hits on the battleship. Because it started maneuvering. It's still a good idea to aim for it, because that means all of these torpedoes are ending up in the middle of the enemy formation. Now, cruisers... we'll need to select targets as well. In fact, once the torpedo boats are out of the way, these cruisers have some torpedoes as well. That may or may not do something useful. Destroyers are pretty much good to go. I think -11 taking a bit too much damage. Not really serious damage, but enough to slow it down. And that's just gonna put the whole squadron in jeopardy if they're added together. So 18 torpedo hits thus far, 19. Yeah, the cruiser torpedoes are starting to arrive. 21. $28. There we go, 30. That was from the light cruiser, I think, scoring 1 torpedo on the battleship. Ooh, but Merrick, you are not looking too hot, my friend. You have taken some 19-inch damage from that battleship, so I think I'm going to lose this cruiser now. Which is very sad, because that's a very expensive light cruiser. And we have torpedoes incoming towards my heavy cruisers. It's not really that much I could do to dodge that, I think. they're detonating here. Yeah. I was like right at the end of their range. I've been a few hundred meters further away. They would not have hit. Can Merrick get away? Bring these into screen. Yeah, heavy cruisers are mostly okay. Emler took 2 torpedo hits, but it's not too serious. Let's bring these in closer again. Put those guns to work. Torpedoes are reloaded on the torpedo boats. Destroyers not quite ready yet. They've got quintuple launchers, so they take longer to rearm. Yeah, there goes Merrick. Yeah, that's sad. But even though it's an expensive ship, it's still like more expendable than something like a heavy cruiser or battlecruiser. Even if it's almost as pricey, it just takes much less time to build one, a light cruiser, than a battlecruiser, and it takes up less shipyard capacity. These guys are now taking fire. I'm not sure which of them is limiting the speed of the group. Well, now it's this one at least. Just took those hits. I do want to sink this battleship. Even if it would be fun to take it as a war operation and refit it after the war. Okay, we are not doing this, dear battlecruisers. We are not all focusing on one destroyer. You can just forget about that. I will not allow it. Yeah, good enough. I mean, if you're gonna target it, at least hit it. Like, that's not too bad. Not much I can do to save this one, I think. At least turn the torpedoes off so that if the enemy catches up to it, it can strike back. These destroyers are both rearmed. They're not in range. I'm gonna bring them in closer. Now, I think I saved that destroyer because the enemies are now going for my torpedo boats. Just gonna launch everything at the battleship. I hope it works. And same with these two. There we go, did score torpedo hits. Great. Let's see if we can get this battleship with torpedoes. I mean, so far so good. This was a pretty good torpedo strike from those two destroyers. I think that's a dead battleship. She hasn't realized yet, but she's gonna die. And that was worth the cost of one torpedo boat. And possibly a destroyer or two. Oh yeah, easily. Bravely firing away at my destroyers. Right up until the end. Commendable, but... You are hanging far behind. I think Emler is better off just detaching. Of course, the reason they were so slow is because I reduced speed trying to dodge those torpedoes. Which was mostly futile, but... only taking 2 torpedoes. Not too terrible. Actually, no, Emler, I do need you, because you're the one cruiser that is almost fully stocked on ammunition. I don't care if you're going to slow down the rest of the squadron. I need your guns. More than that, I need your ammo. Because there were a couple of battles where I only used the cruisers, and the game set up 3 cruisers in one division and one going alone, and the one alone was Emmler. So the other 3 got to shoot their guns a lot and waste all their ammunition, while Emmler just sailed home along with the battlecruisers. So that's why she has a lot more ammunition on board than the other 3. It's just bad luck that she was the one to take the torpedoes and not one of the ones short on ammo. Here we go. The enemy let my destroyers get away safely. That's good. Now, big guns need big targets. These are currently out of range. We're gonna have to move closer. And my cruisers can take care of this. Fagnon. 12-kilometer torps. Why? Who amongst you is targeting the destroyer? I mean, it's good that you're scoring those big hits, but I would like those hits scored on another ship. Like I told you. I don't care if it's out of range, I'm moving it closer. There we go, Fagnon is down. Because the closer ships, I'm gonna leave that for these guys. There we go, nice cluster of enemy cruisers. Let's be wary of enemy torpedoes. Most of these have spent their torpedoes already. I think a bunch were aimed at my torpedo boats and destroyers in the first strike. So far, so good. This needs a bit more flooding on the bow. I don't think Franklin is a very French name. Let's have these spread their fire too. I guess none of them have torpedoes left. No. You all got different targets? Good. Yeah, so we ended up on 44 torpedo hits, which is pretty good. Battlecruisers are running a bit low on AP. Let's force HE for a bit. I think it's just Battlecruiser running low on AP. I was about to ask if they had no more destroyers left, but they do. Just didn't see it. There we go. Okay, I think we got incoming torpedoes towards my battlecruisers, so... yeah. I'm gonna try to maneuver a bit. These don't turn too well. Turn well enough. Because those electric torpedoes, while they are stealthy, I basically don't see them until they're right on me. They're not the fastest. But the electric torpedoes were not the ones launched. I think it was these oxygen torpedoes, actually. Okay, so battlecruisers are just gonna do a full turn then. 23 inch. You got shorter range than mine. And they are, I think they are slower. For 7.7 knots. A little bit slower. I think maneuvering like this is still gonna throw them off. So they were not electric torpedoes. But still, you saw how close they got before I spotted them. Now granted, in dip, you cannot equip sonar or hydro on anything bigger than a light cruiser, so spotting torpedoes, not that easy. Bring these in again. Poor Emler is so far behind. Yeah, I can't have it just sailing towards the others. That's gonna be suicide. Let's force HE again. There's a huge hit on Argonaut. Alright then, new targets here. Have the big guns take on the big targets. Have the smaller guns take on the slightly smaller targets. And we mustn't forget the thumbnail. The majestic Yavuz class with the 3 funnels. Some of you think that is excessive, and it is. 2 would be more than enough, but 3 looks good. And the HE is partial penning the main belts. But sometimes they score full penetrations on extended bits of armor, and they do massive damage, like that. have the battlecruisers be the ones closest to the enemy. Take all the hits. They have no guns that can sink my battlecruisers. But they have guns that could, maybe, potentially, do things to my heavy cruisers. Okay, back to auto selection. There, cleared away the heavy cruisers. Most of them. Alright. Battlecruiser. Kemal Reis. Yavuz. Piri Reis. Zaganos. Chidodagi. And Kisara, I guess. There we go. Oh, Emler. Are you still with me? Yeah. Kind of struggling to maneuver with the rudder taken out, but hanging in there. Yeah, I think we're going to gun down all of them. Yeah, heavy cruisers are about to run completely dry. Except for Emler. Which now also has her secondary guns join in. I want them firing AP. They can pen the extended belts. On the grass. Completely dry. So these can just go home. And HE on the main guns, sure. There's also a way to do it. Meanwhile, battlecruisers are deleting light cruisers. I would say that's an unfair fight. Another one deleted. Yeah, the damage output from these battlecruisers, Yavuz, wow, 500,000. Quite impressive. Yavuz has done almost as much damage as all 44 torpedoes I hit. I think she's gonna end up on more damage. Granted, not all damage is equal. That damage scored with torpedoes on the battleship was pretty important. Now we're just mopping up. And suddenly the French are left with only 3 ships remaining. From what started out as a very, very big task force. Look at all these wrecks. Actually, I want to sail my battlecruiser in between the wrecks and then take a new screenshot. I think that'll look pretty good. If we can make it that far before the battle ends, though, because that's a real possibility. Yeah, because they're now only left with 1 heavy cruiser. And the wrecks are disappearing. So, well, so much for that plan. Yeah, Henri is sinking. And there she goes. Almost 800,000 victory points. Very nice. Lost 2 torpedo boats on the destroyer. Not too bad. One of those torpedo boats dealt over 100,000 damage. That's impressive. For a torpedo boat. That is basically an 1890s design. Slightly warmed over. Yavuz Sultan Selim did win the damage race. By a lot. Almost 600,000 damage. That's almost as much as all the torpedoes combined, which were at like 650,000. Kemal Reis, 399,000. Balikasir, 375,000, and Piri Reis, 224,000. That is pretty big damage from those battlecruisers. And keep in mind, these are not even that expensive. These are very affordable ships. But now, nothing stands in my way of invading Belgium. And with the Americans out of the war, I can start sending ships out to take Britain itself. I'm not going to bore you with this fight. I'm just going to end it here. We're going to do convoy battles and probably more stuff next time. Goodbye and take care.